Hospitals right at the back. Okay, so then after discussing production, then we discussed cost, then we came to market structures. To check these firms belongs to what type of market structures. So far we have discussed two market structures. One is the first one, perfect competition. Second one, monopoly. So what are the features of perfect competition? There are many large number of sellers and buyers. How about the type of the product? Is identical or homogeneous product. And how about the price? They are price takers. So individual firm has a horizontal demand. What else? Free entry and exit, perfect information about buyers and sellers, then free mobility or perfect mobility of factors of production to the industry and out, from out the industry. Then what else we discuss? How these perfectly competitive firms behave in short run and long run. Tell me in the short run what type of profit or losses they make. Either they can make abnormal profit or normal profit or even losses. So in the perfect competition, and how about the long run? Perfectly competitive firms make what type of profit in the long run? Normal profit in the long run. It doesn't matter whether they make economic or abnormal profit or losses in the short run. In the long run, they reach to normal profit. So how they reach to normal profit also we discussed. Then we started to discuss monopoly. What are the features of monopoly? So there is a single seller. It's a very unique product. No close substitutes for this product. And there are barriers to entry and monopoly can set its price. So it's the total opposite of the perfect competition. Monopoly, they are price makers, not price setters. So what are the examples? I told you to find examples here. Railway. Correct. Tobacco making Sri Lanka. This is projects. If you rank Ceylon electricity board, then you have to justify. We are talking about power generation. So in terms of generation, monopoly has only with electricity board, but in terms of distribution, that too. It's like and electricity board. That depends how you define it. Okay. So you have to argue. This is the only seller in this market, therefore this is a monopoly. Okay. Now then we discuss how this monopoly power is created. How the monopoly can be created, how this monopoly power can be created. If they have ownership of raw material or production technique, raw material to the PNG. So then they can build up a monopoly and be the only seller in the market. Because others do not have the input. Understood? Or else they can take a patent. Avoiding others to imitate their product. So they are the only one producing that. Or government license. So what is natural monopoly? What is natural monopoly? In the slide, do I have any molecule in the slide? They got that. I didn't think this. Otherwise, this is very boring. You guys hate this subject? Huh? Yes. Subject got pain in the lecturer was pain in the way. Is it the case? Huh? Yes. Yes, No? I don't feel like you are very energetic to learn business economics. Either you like hate the subject or hate the lecture. Anything like that. If they are making economies of scale, then they can achieve natural monopoly. Right? Economies of scale, then when you have economies of scale, you have very low average cost. So when your average cost is low, you can charge a low price. So thereby, you avoid all others to come to this industry because they cannot compete with you. You are creating a natural one. But by expanding your scale and achieving economies of scale. That is natural one. And also limit pricing policy. Likewise, these are the reasons how this monopoly power is created. Then the demand curve we discuss. What type of demand curve do we have for monopoly? It's a downward sloping demand, right? Then we discuss how this demand curve can be used to derive the marginal revenue curve. Then we discuss the total revenue, average revenue, marginal revenue, and the relationship between this the price and the marginal revenue and the elasticity of demand. All these things we discussed last year. And also regarding the cost, we discussed monopoly also face the same type of cost curves. The average variable cost, average cost, then marginal cost, all are U-shaped cost. And their average fixed cost is, what is the shape? This rectangular hyperbola. So these are costs. Now we say the short run equilibrium also same as the perfect competition. Marginal revenue should be equal to marginal cost. So in monopoly, in the short run, they can either make economic profit or even can make losses also, because if their strategy is limit pricing policy, market maybe they will charge a very low price which is lower than their average cost. If short run average cost if the average cost curve goes like here, average cost then they are making losses. Did we discuss this slide last day? Yes. So did you draw this by yourself? And the yes. Okay. Now can you please draw to say that they are monopoly make losses in the show. Losses would pen and balance.
Okay.
I realize that now when you are trying to draw the diagrams, maybe you are like forgetting certain tips. Like you try to draw by look at here, you are like trying to repeat the same curves like no. Always start up like this. Right? I hope everybody can see the board. Can you? First thing, two axes. Here you have quantity, here you have price. Next, what you do when it's come to monopoly, draw the demand. So this is your demand. Then the second step is draw the marginal revenue. Here is your marginal revenue. So always we know when we are drawing the marginal revenue, it should divide the total area into two, right? The similar part, two equal parts. Then what happens? To find the profit maximizing unit, you need your marginal cost. So you draw marginal cost here. So MR equal MC happen here. A point in a marker. Use that. When you mark that point, you go above until you meet the demand. So this is your quantity. This is your price. Okay. So this is what you have done. If we at the MR and the MC at the you will go other. It was a price bar. Then if you want to show profit, then where do you place your average cost? So if this monopoly making profit in the short run, you are placing the average cost curve well below the price. Price එකට වඩා අඩුවේ average cost එක මෙන්න මේ වගේ අදගන්න. Like this. This is your average cost. So at this quantity, this is your average cost. AC star at Q star quantity. Right? So here, then the difference between P star and AC star, this entire part is your profit. Now, if you want to show losses in the short run, then the same diagram, instead of drawing this here, below than the price, you are drawing average cost somewhere here, in the middle, above the price. So, you go upwards until you meet the average cost curve. So this is the average cost. This is the price. So this entire part is what? Loss in the short run. That's how you draw, right? So take the concept to your mind. You don't have to dictate every curve. No. Take the concept. This is a downward sloping demand curve. Then the MR should go like this. MC should go like this. Then I will mark the price and quantity. Then by placing the average cost somewhere, you can either show profit or loss. I see some of the people first mark the price and quantity. Then going to draw the demand curve. That is wrong. Price and quantity determine when MR equal MC and the cost. Do you prefer this gradient or that one? This one. Don't show profit and losses in the same diagram. No? You cannot do so. Either make losses or profit in the short run. So if you are showing, since you have this diagram, the profit one in the slide, maybe you can draw the loss one and show the losses. Here we say it is even possible to experience economic losses in the short run. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the supply curve. Now I'm always reminding you the perfect competition as well. For the perfect competition, what type of demand curve did we have? Horizontal demand curve for the individual curve. What type of supply curve? What is the supply curve perfect competition? The upward sloping part of the marginal cost curve starting from where? Close down or shut down point again. Right. So that is the supply curve of the perfect competition. Then when we talk about the supply curve of the monopoly, this is very important for you to remember. For the monopoly, there is no unique supply curve. There are the unique supply curve. How come? There is no unique supply means either they supply, the price is same, but two different quantities. So the same price, two different quantities. Or else, same quantity, two different prices. So you can see, monopoly can provide the same quantity under two different prices, or same price but two different quantities in the market. Therefore, we say monopoly do not have a unique relationship between price and quantity. So the monopoly does not have a unique relationship between price and quantity since they are the only firm in the market, single seller in the market. Either they can supply the same quantity under different prices or various quantity under one price. How that happen? Let's discuss with an example. Now let's take Ceylon Electricity Board. Let's assume that it's a monopoly in terms of power generation in Sri Lanka. Now they are the single seller of electricity. Now, if we look at his market, let's suppose you are in the market, all the people. Do you all have same type of demand for electricity? No. Depending on your family background, the income level, your preferences, usage of electric appliance, the region maybe you live, your use of electricity can be different. Thereby, the demand also can be different. So, there can be elastic demand, there can be inelastic demand for electricity. How about you? Overall, demand electricity elastic or inelastic. What is elastic demand? If the price changes by 1%, the quantity demanded going to be changed by a larger percentage. That is elastic. Price again 40 to response value. What is inelastic demand? If the price changes by the same quantity, same amount, but your demand is going to be changed by a small amount. That means you are not very responsive to the price changes. Price එක මොනවා වෙනස් වුණත් ඔයාගේ demand එක ලොකුට වාහිනේ කරන්නේ. That is inelastic demand. So now tell me, what type of demand do you have? Elastic or inelastic? Electricity වලට. Inelastic, right? කොච්චර අරගොල්ලෝ වැඩි කරන් price එක ඔයාලා පාවිච්චි කරන ටික කරනවානේ. අද වතුරයක් නැහැ, අද rice cooker එක ගහන්න නැහැ කියලා අම්මා කියනවාද? කරන්ට් බිල වැඩි කරා. ෆෝන් එක charge කරන්න නැතුව ඉන්නවද? No, you do it. Because for us, elasticity is a compulsory good sort of. You have to order money. But let's think about people who are living in a very rural area, who do not use very big amount of number of electric appliances, like the Tunakitradana, very low income level, then what happens? Do they also have inelastic demands? No, maybe their demand can be elastic, right? Because if the price changes by a large amount, they may not be able to afford. So they will reduce the consumption rate. Understood? So the same product, two different demand, elastic and inelastic demand. Now this electricity board can observe their consumers. They can categorize them. Okay, these people, doesn't matter how much rate I'm giving, they are going to pay because for them they have inelastic demand. But these people, they have a very volatile, very sensitive demand for electricity depending on the price. So if I increase the price by a small amount, their demand will go down by a large amount. Depending on that difference in the market, they can charge two different prices for the same quantity. එයාට එකම සෙල්, එයාට power එක තියෙන, ඔයාලට තියෙන inelastic demand නිසා he is going to charge you a higher price for the same number of units that you consume from electricity. Units behind ඒකට දෙනවා low price එක. For that paper, they charge a lower price. So same quantity, two different prices. Understood? Similarly, it can be other way around also. එකම price එකට quantity දෙකක් දෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. Depending on your elasticity again. එකම price එක ඔයාලට දෙනවා අඩු quantity එකක්. අරගොල්ලන්ට දෙනවා වැඩි quantity එකක්. Did you get my point? Right. So we say for the monopoly, we do not have unique supply curve. Now we are going to check these two scenarios with diagram. This is very important because this can be tested in the exam. So you can make a note. May part and check the bulletin. Now the first scenario where you have the same quantity but two different prices. Okay. Now we are going to explain this step by step. This diagram. Now, here, if you observe this one, this curve here, T dash, the green one, and the other demand curve is the purple one, P. Now, observe this is two different demand curves. Now, by observing, tell me which one is elastic, which one is inelastic. Elastic curve, inelastic curve here. So which one is elastic? The V1. Huh? V1. You say V dash is elastic. Okay. Now let's observe that first. Okay. Here, this is your quantity. This is your price. This is one demand curve. And this is the other demand curve. What is it? And shall I use two different colors? Okay. Now what we do, we change the price. Now we reduce the price. Now we increase the price to here. Okay. Now, if we look at this blue demand curve, before this is the quantity. Now, when we increase the price, quantity reduced to here. So this is the difference in the blue curve. If we observe the same price change for the red one, this is the new quantity. So this is the change in the quantity for the red line. Now the same price change, but two different scenarios of quantity change. Now tell me which one is elastic and which one is inelastic here. Red, the blue, the elastic. Red is elastic, right? You can see the same price difference, a large quantity change in the red curve. But for the blue, same price change, a smaller quantity. That means here the red one is elastic demand. Blue one is the inelastic demand. So this inelastic demand means steeper demand. Elastic demand means flatter demand curve. Can you please draw this? I could not correct that. Okay. Okay, now you know how to decide elastic demand and inelastic demand. Now shall we come back to this slide again? Now which one is elastic? E or D dash? Elastic. Not elastic. Then one of you. D the D dash. Elastic. දැන් අතට අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තේ කවුද ස්ටීව් කවුද ප්ලැටෝ කියලා බලන්න දෙන්නගේ. කවුද ප්ලැටෝ? D the D dash. I don't know why you are getting very confused. Now please look at here. Now we have two different demand curves. The green one and the blue one, right? So, may දෙන්නගෙන් කවුද ළමයි flat? Flat වෙලා ඉන්නේ? D. D dash තමයි steel වෙලා ඉන්නේ. එහෙනම් කවුද elastic? Elastic D. Inelastic D dash. I told you. If it is steeper, that means it is inelastic. If it is flatter, that means elastic. Hi. Then what the demand curve දෙකක් තියෙනවා. For those two demand curves, we have two different marginal residues as well. demand curve දෙකක් නම් MR දෙකක් කියන්න ඕනේ. So this light green one is the MR dash. The D dash එකේ MR එකේ. Light blue one is the D's MR. D එකේ MR. Then we have, even though this particular seller pays two different demands in the market, but he is the single seller. For his cost, only one cost. So we have only one marginal cost. Understood? Now MR equal NC happens here. May anith MR දෙන්නම එකම point එකේදී intersect වෙනවා NC එකත් එක්ක. Right? So from that point we have the quantity Q star and method. Then we have to find the price. But since we have two demand curves, price should be two different prices. එතකොට මෙයා දිගේ උඩට යනකොට මේ first demand curve. So this is the P. This is the second demand curve, P dash. Now the same quantity, two different prices. Understood? Okay. Now can you please draw this? There is a tip. The tip here, when you are drawing this, is you have to draw the marginal cost from the point where the two MR curves are intersecting. MR දෙන්නම intercept වෙන point එකෙන් MC අන්දර තමයි එකම quantity එකයි touch දෙකයි ගන්න පුළුවන්. Understood? Okay, now draw it by yourself. Okay? Right. Now this is one quantity, two different prices. So if you observe the diagram, tell me higher price is charged to what type of demand? Elastic demand or inelastic demand? The higher price is charged to elastic demand. Sorry, inelastic demand. Right? Inelastic, you are not going to change your demand by a great amount even though you are charged with the higher price. So monopoly know that. So because he knows it, he charged you a higher price, but for the elastic demand, he charged you a lesser price. Understood? Now the second scenario. Okay? Now the same price but two different quantities. Okay? Same price, two different quantities. Now again the same set of demand curves. Elastic elastic now, inelastic here. So this green, two green ones, this green D is the elastic or inelastic? The inelastic one. So D dash is the elastic one. So we have two marginal revenue curves as well. Since you want to show the same price but the two different quantities, first make sure you mark the price. Price and the mark karagana. Demand curve, then not a. Okay. Then from the two demand curves, marks the quantity also. First step, mark the price. The second step, mark the quantity. Demand curve getting quantity they got done. Then you have to make sure you are drawing your marginal cost curve at point where this marked quantity is going to be intercepted by the marginal revenue. The marginal revenue they cut the yeah. Capital කොහෙන් හරි තැනකින් Q දෙක මාක් කරපුවාම අනේ ඒ point එකේ යන විදිහට marginal cost එක හරි. Otherwise you cannot draw this correctly. Now try with Right? So when I tried, I think the easiest way to do it is first mark the price and the quantities. Price එකයි two different quantities marked. Okay. After that, you draw the marginal cost. Marginal cost එක අඳගන්න point එකකින් a quantity dash දෙක intersect. Okay. So you know here one MR should go here, the other MR should go here. එතකොට MR දෙක A point දෙකෙන් අඳගන්න. Then make sure you are drawing the demand curve where it goes across the tracks. එතකොට මොකද? ඉස්සර P එකයි Q එකයි mark කරලා NCL points දෙක mark කරලා then I draw the inbound. Then finally I draw the demand. Check whether you can draw like that. In the tree. Oh, then make up like a pen and knowing the reality. In my diagram, it's roughly okay. The both. Cannot divide, no. But here in this diagram, you can see it's not divided into equal two parts, but in reality, it should be up. But at banners, Karagan should have him on that top. So you cannot, like, it's a little bit difficult for you to make sure the two parts in MR is equally divided. Make concept in some order, what you have to make sure is one price, two different quantities. Take my one. Also here, this part is a little bit higher than this one. But if you balance the demand curve, you can make sure it's divided into two equal parts. I the demand curve you can balance the zero. Here, some might do this mistake. You can go to when you here, I think my diagram is clear. Now, when you MR and MC intersect here, the first point is red MR MC intersected. So I have to go upwards until I meet the price which belongs to this demand curve. Red demand curve again. එතකොට දැන් මගේ මේ red MR එකට මම blue එකේ පෙන්නන්න බෑ. So then මගේ මේ D එක red එක මෙතන P එක ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. Then similarly here, this is blue demand, blue marginal. So MR equal MC දෙවෙනි set එකට මෙතන වෙන්නේ. Then I have to go upwards until I meet the blue demand curve. මම මෙතනින් පෙන්නන price එක මෙතන ගත්තොත් බෑ. Understood? So you have to make sure you are going upwards until you meet the current demand. Okay? I balance to continue the I'm saying again that. Are you okay? Okay. Found that. Yes. Okay. Last one solo. You can see here. We see the part of the green, dark green. Then you have to do it until you get the brown. Now you have to green one for the dark green and what will be the look at it. Yeah. How about you? Are you okay? I think the easiest way we could do this. So, you move on, you should balance and chutta में gap पे सामान मिलने के लिए निकल रही है कि चुट्टा कैसे Are you all okay? All okay. So you already tried that drawing the two quantities as one time. So that would be the diagram I took in yesterday exam. When you draw it like several times, one or two times, balance because you can do that. Okay. Right. So now short run we discussed. Monopoly can either make profit or loss. And also they do not have unique supply curve. Now we know why. Because one price, two different quantities, two prices, one quantity. That can be happen. Now in the long run, what happens? In the long run, the monopolist has the time to expand his plant or to use his existing plant at any level which will maximize his profit. So now, when monopoly goes to the long run, he has ability to extend the capacity. Then extend on the hand, so he can change the machines, factories, and he can expand the scale. Then, by expanding the scale, he will make sure in the long run he will make profit. So the monopolist in the long run, for sure, they are going to make profit. Okay. Short run again losses hari normal profit hari economic profit එක hari හිටියට perfect competition වගේ එක. But when it comes to the long run, they are going to make profit. So with entry block, however, it is not necessary for the monopolist to reach an optimal scale. So what is the optimal scale? So when you are expanding your business, your average cost would be pulled down until some point. Then of long run average cost it goes like this long run average cost. So now here when you are expanding, you are experiencing economies of scale, average cost. So you are expanding the business, right? So this is the point where you minimize the average cost. Average cost minimize. After that, you are going to increase the average cost, so that is not productive for you to function here. Average cost value in the diseconomies of scale. So you are, as a rational producer, as a rational monopolist, you would not go to this side. But here, you can come up to here. Average cost quantity. But since you are the only seller in the market, single seller, he might not goes to that point. If they are not poor, but right? He has that power because there is the increased block barriers for the entry. No new firms cannot come to the market. So he is the only seller. So he will decide the quantity where he wishes to maximize the profit. And it is not necessarily the minimum point of average cost. So he is not going to the optimum scale. He will function at the scale with the less capacity. Understood? The optimum because like he does not want to go to that point. He is the only seller. So it means that there is no need to build up his plant until he reaches the minimum point of long run average cost, right? Because when entry block, it is not necessary for the monopolist to reach an optimal scale. Optimal scale, it's not his target. Profit maximization is the target. So when he reaches to optimal scale, maybe his profit can be different. He will decide the point where his profit is maximized and he will function there. It is not necessarily the minimum point of average cost. Understood? Average cost because he is the only firm. So there is no any guarantee that he will use his existing plant at optimum capacity. So there is no guarantee for that. Can happen also. Yeah, don't know optimum scale like minimum point again not less scale like not understood. He's the only seller. He has the power to decide this scale. what is certain is that the monopolist will not stay in business if he makes losses in the long run. So we are not certain about his supply curve. There is no unique supply. And when we come to the long run, we are not certain whether he reaches to the optimum scale or function at a lower scale. But that what is certain is he will make sure that he is getting profit. Where normal profit නෙමෙයි abnormal profit එකක් ගන්න බැහැ. Otherwise there's no use. No. In the single seller, he wants to do that. So no losses in the long run. Now here, plant now, this is D, this is MR, this is long run marginal cost. So LMSC equal to MR happens here. At this point, if you go up, this is the price. And this is their average cost. So average cost is here, price is here. So he has the profit. But if we check the long run average cost, that is not the minimum point. Minimum point is the no, it's not going there. That's not his objective. So he is suboptimal size, we say. This size is suboptimal size because if we reach the minimum point here, that is the optimal scale. Minimum point of average cost. But he is functioning with the suboptimal size with excess capacity. Understood? He has the excess capacity, but he's not going there. So can you please draw this diagram as well? You do not need to draw this short run part, only the long run cost will be enough. Okay. So with that, we finish the monopoly. Now, do you have any question from monopoly? Now have clarified another, then we can go to the other part. Any question? Everything is a question. So what you have to remember is the features of monopoly, how is supply curves is, why there is no unique supply curve for the monopoly, and how they earn profit or losses in the short run, and how they earn profit in the long run. Okay? So that is what you have to know. That is monopoly. Now we are going to start the next market structure, which is monopolistic convention. Do you name the small break before that? We want to go out, okay, you can go and come back to page 8. So how many subjects you have together with this business in the house? Subjects you do? 5 subjects altogether. What are the other subjects? Well, it's not. Principal application. That's what I'm trying to consider. Any lecturer from Jungle, please. So, like, do you know how the exam should be like? I don't. Listen. Anyway, since when we have the 2 sessions together at the very beginning and the 5 sessions so all together and allocated like 30 hours in total for this subject. You do not have to over the 6 dynamics in the match. So only 30 hours. Now also not have completed, including today, 22.5. It is 2 hours. So like we will have, I think yes, to have 2 sessions together next week, then we can have 6 hours of sharing. Then maybe the last day will be October 18th. There we will have 1 3-hour session. I will take the full presentation. Maybe I will give you the exam, final exam, so the last day. Yeah, that would be the October 18th. Yeah. Yes, the same examination is October 18th. Now all the guidelines are being given in the lens. So you have like 2 weeks time to orders. It's all talking. Now you don't only 2, it's 5 because like maximum we have 22 students shall be passed. Who do better we end up to clean it. At least 4 or 5 is the recommended. Let's see. After into the class, we will discuss about group formation. Then all the instructions are given. You have to prepare a report and also you have to do the presentation. I will give you presentation rather than separate. Now we need to have just around that number of slides all and then upload it to this video. At the moment, you can decide and select the firm and start identifying. Discuss together and it will not take like much longer or like extra time that because you have just select finalize your cost reduction and justify the market structure. That's all. It's I just finish it. If I like give you a very big time to do it, one client and we will hit that the last one of them. Let's have it on of the legacy that is that. So now we are going to start the monopolistic competition. So not to know where. Different flow. Right. So what is monopolistic competition? So if you look at the name itself, you can get an idea. We just finished discussing perfect competition and monopolistic. So monopolistic competition is a combination of the both of these two structure. The monopoly part is there, competitive part is there. So that's a combination, monopolistic competition. Perfect competition plus what you call monopoly. So both of the market structure features are there in this market. Okay. So this is a very realistic market structure because here we can see good examples, like practical examples in the world and in Sri Lanka also for this market structure. So we will learn about the assumption and the short run, long run equilibrium, and we will evaluate the monopolistic competition at the end. Now, here, if depending on the number of firms, if there is only one firm, we know it is monopoly. If we have many firms, these few firms get to be discussed. Again, Padang and Colombo. If we have many firms, like large number of firms, either it can be monopolistic competition or perfect competition. The difference comes from the nature of the product. If the products are identical, then it's a perfect competition. If the products are differentiated, then it's monopolistic competition. Understood? So the main feature of this market structure, the third one, monopolistic competition means the market, or there are large number of sellers in the market, but the product is not homogeneous. That is the difference. Understood? So what we are saying that this is a combination of monopoly and perfect competition. In monopoly also we have a unique product, right? But one seller. But in the perfect competition we have large number of sellers. So this large number of sellers comes from the perfect competition. So it's a competitive. But we have a differentiated product. That like the product uniqueness comes from the monopoly. So both the features are together gives this market structure monopolistic competition. Okay. Now what are the features of the assumptions? There are many small sellers. So number of sellers large. There are many small sellers. Many buyers, but they are attached to certain sellers. We have large number of buyers as well, but in the perfect competition, many buyers and many sellers, but there is no such condition. The buyers are attached to certain seller. No. External or no difference. Understood? But here in this market structure, buyers are somewhat loyal to the sellers. If they select one seller for this particular product, they will keep interacting and keep going to that seller. Brand loyalty is there. So we say many buyers, but they are attached to certain sellers. Okay. So here we have started the discussion on the third market structure, which is monopolistic competition. Okay. So these are the features. Then the product, differentiated or heterogeneous product. And the product of one firm is purely a close substitute for that of the other cells. So that is a very important point. They sell a product which is differentiated, not identical, but kind of differentiated. Okay? So that is the difference compared to the perfect competition. Perfect competition එකනම් x නම් ඕන තරමකින් x ගත්තොත් එකම එකකින් කියලා කියනවා identical කියලා. We learned that there are like no perfect examples of perfect competition. It's a rare phenomenon, but like close examples are this eggs, vegetable, rice, and everything. But when we come to this market structure, product is heterogeneous, differentiated. But there are close substitutes. Understood? For the monopoly, there is no close substitute. But even though the product is differentiated, there are close substitutes. Entry into industry and exit is in the long run. Long run is and the goal is to maximize profits. Now look at these market features and give the examples. Examples and there should be many sellers, Heterogeneous differentiated product, bias are attached to some sellers, sort of free and mix in the long run, they are making profit, one of these examples. Vehicles, automobiles. Okay, but are the like buyers attached to it? And do we have many sellers? Like maybe you're talking about the sales, vehicle sales. Automobiles, maybe Toyota or okay, then. But there are other very good examples. Balm. Okay, balm. Balm කියලා ගත්තොත් there are like Ayurvedic, and many more. And do we have many sellers? Maybe you like few. Yeah, few, no? ඔගොල්ලෝ daily මේ ගනුදෙනු කරන supermarket or market is like retail or like retail sellers, right? Who else? What else? It's restaurants, salons. These are good examples for this market structure. Let's take salons. Like how many salons are there? Well, is around it ගත්තොත් එහෙම ඉසේරාම හන්දිද ලකුරට යනකම් ගියොත් සෑහෙන සලකුණක් තියෙනවා. ඒක ඉස්ලාමයෙන් වගේ ආවොත්. If you observe here also we have like many number of salons, large number of sellers in the Lanka. The salon here, right? Then many buyers, but they are attached to certain sellers. Is it right? Well, I don't know about like boys, girls. If you want haircut, do you go everywhere? And boys are about to. No, right? You also have a favorite hair salon. So you go there because you trust that service. So the buyers are attached to certain sellers. Agree? Right. Differentiate no heterogeneous product, but they are not fairly close substitute to that also available. And with the service, let's say salon, the service is kind of different. If we compare salon to salon, then we are in the country to go to salon. If we are so we are there are slight difference. Experience also. Massage after haircut would be different. The price can be different. Like, quality wise also that can be different. But that's a low subsidy. Yeah, and here the order that we got a good one. Those substitutes are there. Entry into industry and exits are single brand. If you observe that anybody can open a salon in anything, but those salon is and goal is to maximize profit. They operate if they are making a profit on salon is open. How about restaurant or hotels? Do we have like many restaurants? The overall lunch do you go to certain place or do you prefer to go to certain place? Yes or no? Yes, right. And also the lunch, maybe if you take the lunch, it's different taste wise, packaging wise, quality wise, product different, but there are close substitutes. Close substitutes there. And also comparatively, we can open a hotel or restaurant easily, let's say. So goal is to maximize profit. So restaurants are salons, what else? Then our practical then we have the examples for monopolistic competition. How about execution masters? Do they belong to monopolistic competition? Let's say the tuition classes for economics. But the way will especially that's when they call adults function again. And A level right? When I have a colleague, like my batchmate is doing classes now, his name is OK Amila. Have you heard of this name? So his tagline is Ikonna OK. OK na Amila, like something like this. His initial the OK Amila. So like it's funny to see these advertisements also. Then even the there are many. And also, like if you take the students, are they like they go to the street and they go whatever the class they find? No. They are have some tuition masters depending on the feedback of the seniors or depending on his popularity. They will go to a certain tuition master. And then some other countries somehow so attracted to certain talents. And how about the teaching? Is it same? Teaching masters. No. Now it's like very popular this tuition industry. They have like kind of like what you call it. They have come to the TikTok even. Then tuition masters like technique using TikTok for the promotion. Have you seen how many TikToks are there for the bombs are there for the tuition masters? Promotions, right? Not my time. And so when I was doing A-levels, it was like hardly normally the main promotion technique they used to this handouts. So the handouts are that was only. Even the advertisements wise also little bit less. Then we never had a contact and a college you go and we advertisements right. And also TikTok videos, HP, they are using social media. I'm not criticizing, I'm like using them, I'm explaining the trend there. And also anyone can come to the market. Even if long run we can go to public even if we take our graduates also, many of them tend to start their tuition classes as the main job. They prefer to start their own business. That business is the tuition classes. But you know that's these people so the regular big data gun as a like a jewelry for their marketing. The market can put down a jump in the make house. Like most of the people I know in my batch who do the classes, they like completed the degree with many difficult. Degree and all in summer degree we will carry on to completed the degree because they started the classes even in first year. They do not have time to come to the lectures. They are very successful in the tuition year. So they are keeping the title as a promotional strategy. Some people who do economics do the classes for business clients. Do the classes for home. Understood? Economical by home class. Right? Just to imply that, okay, I have a very prestigious university in financial studies. Understood? So, like anyone who wishes to do a class, you can start. So, original class right? Put the slides even you can take my notes. Then now I'll make a slide, the same slide that I do under the new class. Price you hand out. ChatGPT I just want to do a monthly when they get a lot. Now I open tag attracted master. Understood? PNP indexing. So goal is to maximize copy. They will look at that topic. But the preparation handouts, quality wise winners. They teach and deliver to winners. Here the false winners. The facilities are different. Understood? So tuition is also a good example for monopolistic competition. What else? Now we have tuition, restaurants, salons. What else? Are these supermarkets also? Supermarkets, so you need to clear shops. Right. it depends the way you define the industry. Sometimes if you maybe you will check that if you take this communication, you will say, okay, there are many sellers who sell the SIM. The SIM sellers are monopolistic condition. But if we take the industry, no, we have very few firms of Mobitel, Dialogue, Airtel, another Hutch. It's very so we have 3 or 4 5 friends limited. And what are in your example also, when we take automobiles, this vehicle sales who use any or maybe the second-hand cars or any branded car, maybe they will belong to this. But comparatively, free entry and exit is not possible for the vehicle industry. But if we take the brand wise, what then they did? What else? We are very common. Likewise, importantly, understood. So you have to be very tricky when you are defining industry and sellers. Understood? Now, can you have an example? Apart from restaurants. And also this hotels also. No? Hotel industry. Hotels same on the hotels you're going to stay for your vacation. Understood? They also there are many sellers, but you are kind of attracted to yes, you might have the idea, okay, any hotel by Cinnamon is okay. Or any hotel by Hilton is okay. So you are attracted to that brand. And also the product is different. They will original facilities, that would be different. But those are cities. Either you would stay at Vinyal or but you will have cinnamon wine. Yeah, right. Vinyal or cinnamon wine. The close substitutes are there. Understood? So these are the examples of monopolistic competition. Now, the differentiated product means similar products but not identical. If we take these tuition classes, economics but different. Approach is different. Delivery, handout, those are different. Satisfy the same basic need. We take the tuition classes, education, or at one and also if we take this salons, haircut, facial or facial. Satisfy the same real but differentiated product. Understood? Right. The differentiation may be real or imaginary. We are producing the pain, packaging wise or quality wise, difference in the pain. But the differentiation can be imaginary as well. Can you give examples for imaginary differentiation? Imaginary differentiation. That means in reality, there is no difference. Same. But you are imagining that. Mentally, you are seeing a difference. Can you give examples? That happens for the salons as well. Okay. Then if we take this very popular salons like Leo, Nanushka, people to go there. They have a very good brand name. So they think, okay, the service is also good. Here, sometimes, we have to, if you want to get the haircut from Danushka himself, then you have to book him 3 months prior. Appointment, I'm busy. But appointment, you have to go on time. Tell you by experience. Okay, if you miss by 1 or 2 minutes, he will not take you in. Appointment is missing. Understood? So, taking an appointment is also very difficult. And we expect, okay, the haircut will be marvelous. So that is our imaginary expectation. Okay, imagine Danush Leo again, Danushka din mein haircut that is some wow haircut. So we are imagining that. Imaginary differentiation. But there are some small salons charging you a very low price, giving you can give the same haircut. But still, you think Danushka's haircut is different than the normal haircut. That is imaginary differentiation. Where brand name that happens in this field salary most of the time. And somehow brand when it comes to bridal dressing, that's also a very good business in Sri Lanka. Do you know the prices? Price range is that? Boys, do you know? Like that was done now Danushka. No, not Danushka. Dhananjay Mandal. Is the top rank now, Dhananjay Mandal, in terms of dressing? Do you know, like, if the service is only for the bride, without bridesmaid, do you know the price range? Starting from 5 lakhs and up. That next comes somebody, she can't that. Actually, okay, so one of my closest friend had the wedding recently, so she went to this Dhananjay Bandara. I was also like going with her to assist her, like during the photo shoot and all. Then I was observing then she then makeup should be a very good one. No, the same makeup. Like after like 1 or 2 hours of the photo shoot, it started to get clear. The smile lines again. No, it doesn't happen. So imaginary differentiation. Understood? You think that Anushka think forward. That's the talk here. But I could observe there are very small scale salons, very startup salons who would do a better job. But I got a brand name and position right? Sometimes that happens too. Like when you observe the photos of these like very like highly ranked beauticians, they tend to post only the photos of the celebrities. It is more or less right. There are a photos that are going to wow thing here. But when a normal person goes, they are authentic, right? The same process. I don't know the makeup quality wise too. There is a difference, but I did not observe. Right? If you have like plenty of money, it's up to you to decide. It's your way. You can go wherever you want. But imaginary differentiation. The brand name can create imaginary differentiation. Understood? In restaurant also, sometimes you, like if we take this bakery industry, we have many, Sensal, BLS, what else? He was also Damanandi. Caravan, yes. And even Masana bakers, like we have many bakers when we take this industry, bakery industry. So we have many bakers. But we are sometimes think, okay, if we take ENS, that is okay. Yeah, so caravan is not quality value. Maybe in reality, the product could be the same, but we are imagining difference. Understood? So that is imaginary differentiation. The differentiation may be based on location or service. So the product wise, there is no differentiation. Let's say this clothing also a good example. This clothing shops, no limited fashion bag and everything. The but service wise, there can be a differentiation. Understood? Somehow the service is good. Especially when we go to these Muslim shops, right? The people, when the shop is owned by Muslim people, they are very kind of very hospitality wise, they are okay. But I'm not going to criticize my dress. But if you go to similar shop, what happens? That happen, right? So there is service wise differentiation. And location wise also, they are conditioned along we might prefer to go there for the shop. Understood? So this differentiation is not like necessarily the product, but the after service wise also can be a differentiation. So this product differentiation, there are several ones. First one is product differentiation. So can you give examples for the product differentiation? Examples? Product differentiation. Let's take this bread, loaf of bread, form the differentiate brand. Maybe packaging ones, quality ones, size ones. right? The taste-wise, you can do different differentiation techniques for the product. Color-wise, so you can differentiate the product. How do you differentiate the service? Service is how we differentiate the. Yes. So how you treat the customer after service. Package එකක් දාලා දෙනවද කවරයක් දෙනවද නැහැ. ඔයාගේ ගිහුවම how they welcome. Do they give some training to you? Right? When you go shopping. The AC karala, the convenience for you to do shopping there, right? But the service also can be differentiated. Channel differentiation. What is that? Channel differentiation. That involves tailoring the distribution channels used to deliver products or service to specific market segments or customer groups. So what is channel differentiation? Can we give examples for channel differentiation? So that is the way you get this product. Understood? The channel. So the way the product is sold to you. Understood? If we take this online, like Amazon or eBay, the setups are too different. No? When we go to the eBay, that is like auction based. But Amazon, no, it's different. Likewise, the channel can be differentiated. How about the relationship differentiation? How the relationship is differentiated? If you take this tuition industry or salon industry, how the relationship is differentiated? After service, and also how this seller build up the relationship with the customer. For an example, let's say maybe some tuition master personally like associating the students. Students are the students are personal information share individual attention that's this approach. So the relationship he build up with his clients or the customers is different. Maybe there's another tuition master who's like maintaining a very professional relationship. Class Facebook and comment chat. He's maintaining a professional relationship. So the relationship wise you can differentiate. Whether how a student can personally people individual attention examples he might attach the previous tuition master. But a student who is like to have a very professional relationship with the tutor, then he will come to the others. Understood? Right. Then the reputation differentiation, especially in the salon industry, now we have like Manjula and the Palmwood labels. There are certain brand names who are well established. So they have built up the reputation. So the same service, rivalry, the market, but reputation, we are doing a differentiation. Understood? Right. Price differentiation. And also they can change the price. Same rival dressing, but different prices for the package. They get prices. Even in the tuition class also the same now. If you make some higher price even with the higher price, you like to go there and teach for that particular tutor. Understood? So the price also can be a way that you are differentiating the product. So product, service, channel, relationship, reputation, and price. So if you are asked what are the modes of differentiation, you have to give this. And if you are asked with examples, you have to provide examples as well. Understood? Now the basic elements I told you before also, monopolistic competition is a combination of perfect competition and monopoly. Competitive element is that we have large number of sellers. Monopoly element is the product differentiation. Remember, monopoly also providing you a unique product. So monopoly plus perfect competition, we get the monopolistic competition. Now the demand curve for the monopolistically competitive firms. Since a firm produces a differentiated product, the demand curve it faces is negatively slow. Okay? Yeah, that many sellers like here, price tag again, because the product is differentiated, no, they can charge different prices. So they have a downward sloping with the demand curve negatively slow. Since there are many close substitute for the product, the demand curve is highly price elastic. And the steeper can the flatter. Steeper or flatter? Flatter, right? If it is elastic, flatter. Because if you change the price by a large amount, there are close substitutes. Then due to the brand loyalty, you are going for one particular hair salon for your haircut. Have a one price in double. Then you might think, then you might switch to another. Close substitutes are there. So the price elasticity of demand is higher, the smaller the degree of product differentiation. That is a very critical one. If your product has more differentiation, now we are reputation wise, now we know the modes of differentiation, no? Reputation wise, service wise, but else channel wise, if you are differentiating the product greatly, then you can charge higher. And then elastic, higher the differentiation, price elasticity is higher or less. Less, right? We are differentiate then the customers might feel, okay, this is a very unique product. Then the close substitutes are less for them. Understood? Differentiate, you can even charge a higher price, but your demand would be the same. Elastic, inelastic. But if you have lesser degree of differentiation, then you will face an elastic thing. So the elasticity depends with the degree of the product differentiation. Finally, since the demand curve is negatively slope and linear, the corresponding marginal curve is below with the same price intersect and twice the absolute slope. Monopoly demand MR twice the slope intercept again. The same way for the monopolistic competition also, we have the same demand curve. Then we say for the monopolistic competition, they have 4 different strategic variables. Strategic variables. In order to maximize their profit, they can use these 4 strategies. The first one is the rate of output. They are what they do. They will check in the market. If we take this bakery industry, they will check how many units of bread produced in the market by different bakeries. Depending on that, they will decide the quantity. Output taking in order to maximize the profit. Understood? The rate of output. And the product attributes. What are the product attributes? Quality, packaging, taste, likewise the extra features that you use for the product to be differentiated. Understood? Then price wise also, you can, price is also a strategic variable for you. Okay? Where demand is value, you will reduce your price. Understood? Or else, if you have inelastic demand, you will increase the price, thinking that you are not going to shift to another seller. And advertising expenditure. If we take this tuition sellers also, they are using highly depend on the advertising and using that strategic variable for maximizing profit. Understood? So if we take tuition, the rate of output means the number of students that they decide to take in each class. My strategy is to have small classes, 50 max. 4 classes. I will have 500 or 1,000 students in my class. Product attributes. So the quality of the handout, the duration of the class, the facilities in the class, likewise. Then the price, the tuition class fee that you charge. And the advertising, TikTok, social media, TV, radio, handouts, letters. Understood? So these are strategic variables that a monopolistic firm can use to make profit. Now we are going to check how do they operate in short run and long. Let's first come to the short run. In short run, at the equilibrium, marginal cost equal marginal revenue and MC is increasing. MC is local, same condition is there. And again, same as this, the perfectly competing firms, either they can make profit or break even or losses. Okay. So if your price is greater than the average cost, abnormal profit. If price is equal to the average cost, break even or just the normal profit. If the price is less than the average cost, then you are incurring losses, right? But same as the perfect competition, if the price is greater than the average variable cost, the variable cost you will cover price, you will continue in the short, even with the losses. Okay? The perfect competition again, monopolistic competition. Then here the short run. Now we have MC, MR. MC equal MR happens here. When you go above, this is the price, this is the cost. So this entire part is profit. Can you please draw this for the monopolistic competition? Right. Now, short run, profit, loss of break-even. In the long run, more firms enter into the market in the long run. This shifts the demand curve faced by each firm to the left. Now, what happened? Now, in the long run, we say the free entry and exit happens in the long run. Long run is the placing. So, when in the long run, when new firms come to the market, this demand curve by one firm would reduce. Either demand is then the competitive. So the new firms would compete with each other. So our demand would go down. So it's a leftward shift. So this shift the demand curve faced by each firm to the left. This happens until the price equals to the product's long run average cost. Firms break even and produce on the negatively sloped portion of the LHC curve. Now let's suppose in the short run they are making profit. And we have hit here profit. Firms now what happened? Your demand goes down. Then demand is heading. Now it comes to a point where demand would tangent with the downward slope in average cost. It could be demand M1 equal MC happens at the break even point. P එක සමාන වෙනවා AC වලට. Negatively sloped portion again, AC curve. Like this. Can you draw this also? Okay. Now we are going to compare. Now this is very important. Okay, we are going to compare monopolistic competition with perfect. Now, in the long run, monopolistic competition earns normal profit, right? P equal AC. Here, this is also P equal AC, normal profit. Or you could say break-even point. But even perfect competition would, in the long run, come to the lowest point of average cost curve. LAC again, lowest point again. But P equal MC happen and functioning at the lowest point of LAC. So productively efficient and economically also efficient. Allocative plus productive efficiency. However, if we take the monopolistic competition, look at here. Now, this is where your average cost is. MR equal MC happens. MR equal MC happens here. MR equal MC happens here. But your average cost is here. But if you go here, the minimum point is here. That means productively efficient point is here. But you are supplying only here. So you have excess capacity. So your profit is maximizing at a point where you are not feeding the maximum capacity, right? So since you want to maximize the profit, you are here, but the productively efficient point is here. So you have excess capacity. Okay? If we go to the other one also, if we compare the monopolistic competition with the monopoly, then you can see the both are not functioning at the lowest point of AC in the long run. So the productive efficiency is not there, but monopoly always would earn abnormal profit. Monopoly එක long run එකේදී abnormal profit. But here the monopolistic competition would earn only but normal profit. Okay? So the evaluation is there. If you are asked the question, now always remember when I'm telling you during the classroom, if you are asked a question, I'm going to ask a question. Rather than what you have to do, you have to make a point. Okay, this can be tested with exam. Understood? I'm always hinting you. This part is important, right? If you are asked a question like this, right? So then when writing the question, you say, okay, I didn't have this is difficult. You are not getting my hints either. Then for the undergraduates, this can be tested. If you are asked a question like this, no, this so how to highlight. You people just stay. So like you think, okay, you will get all this before the exam, you can just take that. Here, if you ask the question in terms of productive efficiency, evaluate these two markets. I will not ask you the markets directly. They are monopolistic competition. This one is a perfect competition. No, I will give you some hints. Firm A belongs to this type of a market. Firm B has this type of product. Then you should get the idea, okay, firm A is a perfect competitive one. Firm B is a monopolistic competition one. Then you should get the idea, okay, between those two, productively efficient one is this one. Understood. Okay, now please draw this diagram by yourself. Compare for your practice purposes. And one more thing, I'm always asking you to repeat all these diagrams by yourself means for the practice. It doesn't matter whether it has in the slide or not. Because when you go to the exam, you do not have the slide to repeat them. So you should get at least the idea, okay, this is this type of a graph. So what about your group formation? Have you built up the group now? Groups everybody has a group. How many groups are there? Groups here. Okay. So how about that one or two students join online? Do they also belong to your group? Anything now. What's his name? Abhinandam someone. Mahesh. Only one, no? So how he is planning to do the presentation? No idea. Maybe you can tactfully cover that. Okay. So since he's not here, not in Sri Lanka. Okay. So like if you do the presentation, then you can allocate some slides for him and have it period. Record. Then you can play it here. Then he's also contributed and understood. That way you can manage. Okay. Otherwise, I cannot give him the mark for the presentation if he's not here. So, like you can creatively decide presentation. Okay? It hasn't to be a formal presentation. You can creatively present it. Okay? If it's like you want to do it as a news, like news reading or some interview base, he can be a panelist to join online. Understood? But since the connection problem and all, make sure that you get it the part recorded and come to the class. Understood? So make sure he's contributing. Okay. Okay. And also one more thing, in your like course outline, there might be some other topics at the end. But the sessions I do might not be like in parallel with the course outline because the course outline was given by this institute to me. But my sessions are kind of altered for your requirement. Understood? So like whenever for the exam, you can refer my slides. So don't get confused. Maybe there are some more topics in the course outline that might not cover in the class, depending on your speed and all. We will cover as much as possible, depending on your pace, and I will test all this content during the okay. And I forget to give you the attendance now. Please scan this one because I don't want to log in here again. Make a scan, otherwise come to me, I will manually mark sure. In your wallet. If you cannot mark the attendance, so I will manually do it on the way. So I mark the QR code for is clear and please pass the QR code to people in online jump. Don't break my computer. My computer. I can't Okay. Yeah. And that. Okay. Okay, shall I manually mark for the people who cannot? Yeah. So, manually mark and I want to get 21. Okay, who else? 21 done. 41. 1. 48. No, yours? 1. 1. Okay, who else? 21 okay, 1 okay. 14. 14. 14. Okay, 14 okay, that's all. All okay? Now, here the other two set is monopoly and monopolistic competition. That is your homework to do. Make up all practice color. Draw it by yourself. With that, we conclude the monopolistic competition. That is easy, the monopolistic competition is comparatively. No? So we are coming to the last market structure, which is oligopoly. Okay. Now we are coming to the oligopoly, last market structure. The monopoly market structures to the perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition. Now final market structure is the oligopoly. Okay. Here in the oligopoly, we will discuss features of oligopoly, sources of oligopoly, and types of oligopoly, and one type of oligopoly is demand. Now the first one is oligopoly. This word oligo, I think it's a Spanish word maybe, that the meaning is few. Right? Oligopoly means few sellers. A market with only a few firms and with substantial barriers to entry. Understood? Now you have to carefully remember the four market structures by their difference. If we take perfect competition, large number of sellers. Monopoly, single seller. Monopolistic competition, large number of sellers. Oligopoly, few sellers. Understood? Because relatively, why there are like few firms and substantial barriers to entry? Because relatively few firms will compete in such a market, each can influence the price and hence each affects rival firms. Okay. So that means in this market, rivalry is there. In monopolistic competition, not that much. Okay? Differentiation product, like there are many. You are differentiating your product and you can charge whatever the price you know. So the price wise also you can do the differentiation. But when it comes to oligopoly, each can influence the price. Right? So that means if there are 5 firms, each other we can influence the price. Understood? Oligopoly firms may act independently or may coordinate their action. Since in this market there are only few firms, either they can discuss and act together. Let's compete, let's limit the competition among ourselves. Or else they can act independently. They can act independently or coordinate. Understood? Now, there can be differentiated oligopoly. That means the products sold in an oligopoly are differentiated products. Understood? Then if we take perfect competition, what is our product? Identical, homogeneous product. Monopoly, unique product, differential or heterogeneous product. Monopolistic competition, differentiated product. Oligopoly, either we have differentiated product or same product also. If it is a differentiated oligopoly, it can say take a differentiate product. Their product sold in an oligopoly are differential. For example, automobiles, electrical appliances, and also if we have only 2 sellers in the oligopoly, we say that is duopoly. Okay, if there are only 2 sellers. For example, our bus transportation, we have private and public. And also maybe you can say electricity distribution, CEB and LECO, right? Duopoly. And the key features are these. Few firms, oligo, few firms. Barriers to entry. Pay attention to rival firms' behavior. Interdependent, right? So we have to always check what our rivalry do. Product differentiation. So we are going to differentiate the product somehow. And price setter. So we can set the price. Right. Now can you give examples? Slide electrical appliances, automobiles, and then this one example buckets. Humans, differentiated product, price stated. There are barriers to entry. If we take telecommunication in Sri Lanka, oligopoly, right? Dialogue, Mobitel, Hutch, Airtel, what else? Which are I thinking? Few words. Product differentiation method? Yes or no? Their services differentiate. The packages they offer, the prices they charge, the quality of the service, different. Barriers to entry? Yes, no. Like anybody can start a telecommunication? No. And pay attention to rival firms' behavior? Yes or no? The Mobitel independent dialogue counter. If they introduce like if Mobitel introduced Ultra Shock unlimited data package, dialogue also comes with a different package but kind of similar, no? Taken interdependence here. And also since there are few firms, you will also evaluate the price and the benefit. Network for the vocabulary, right? So if one firm particularly charges a higher price for travel, you will go to another seat provider. They cannot then freely increase the price. They will check what others do. ඒ අන්න තමයි price එක වෙනස් කරන්නේ. because මම විතරක් වැඩි කරලා Mobitel dialogue ඒ අනිත් අය වැඩි කරේ නැතොත් එහෙම ඔයාලා එයාලා වැඩි කරනවා. මම පාඩුවේ. So I always look at my rivals behavior. Understood? So the interdependence of verbs produce differentiated product. The service, if you take Mobitel dialogue, Hutch and all, services different. And it's a price set. They can change, set their package prices, service prices. What else? Yes, yes. It's a duopoly. Yeah. Then very good. What else?
Milk powder. Milk powder. Milk powder.
Milk powder. Some may say that it would monopolistically competitive. As a local brand, so you're comparable, but you can argue. Mainly if we take yogurt also that happens. No? If we take yogurt or these dairy products, the like well-established, famous, reputed brands, very few. Have local wise and podi becomes chudi likewise, if we take all these brands together in the industry, then it might be a monopolistically competitive one. But if we consider only the well-established industries, this milk powder also apigatto Tratti, Tamunazin, Anchor, others. Maliban, Lux Spray, Nespray, Palavatta, likewise few. Any chudi brands with Okomagato, it might go to monopolistic competition. So you have to be very careful. That happens in your group assignment also. Okay? The firm you have to justify which market structure it belongs to. So if you like take a milk powder one, you have to justify. If you say it's a oligopoly, then you have to provide the market at least share by share analysis. These are the market share. All other small brands only account for very insignificant amount in the market. Therefore, we place this as a monopolistic competition or oligopoly. Likewise, you have to justify. Okay? Right. What else? What else? Well, yes, well. What else? Mobile phones, yes. Few Samsung තියෙනවා. Apple තියෙනවා. Huawei, Redmi, ඔය වගේ ටිකක් නේ තියෙන්නේ. Yes, television is also a good example. Channels ටිකයි නේද තියෙන්නේ. What else? What else? That's all. Maybe cement also. Lanka balance cement තියෙන්නේ. Like few firms. Okay? Understood? Now, when you think about this subject, don't you feel like it's very practical? Huh? So if you observe, if you go to the market, then now you have to select a firm also. If you go to PNS, you have to think, this belongs to what? PNS government. Monopolistic competition. Understood? If you since I have asked you to do a cost comparison and production, pricing and all, if you check the guidelines, I have given you the subheadings, what you have to do in the group project. Then you should make sure if you are selecting one firm, those information are available to you. Understood? They are report or else if you go to a private firm, you have to justify, you have to take, interview them and take the decisions. Get the information and then do the cost comparison. But yes, and also you have to talk between the groups and make sure you are not selecting the same firms in one particular market structure. Okay. In the presentation day, all the firms are monopolistic competition. I'm going to deduct marks. At least only maximum 2 firms can be in one market structure. Oligopoly, that's the group they got. I group understood? Then I got it, but cannot be the same firm. Oligopoly shell gas got the shell gas. He has to take the last. Understood? Whether you have to now coordinate among the groups. Right. But then so you're forgetting one main example. Example, it's important for you to do the group assignment as well. I recommend for you to go to one particular market structure. Maximum, I think there would be 4 groups there in the maximum. And the market structure if you have a problem to find the market structure belong to perfect competition with data, then you are allowed to have 2 groups, 1 market structure. All others make sure one select monopoly, the other one oligopoly, third one monopolistic competition. Maybe one else also take the same market structure. Maximum you can do is 2 groups, 1 market structure. That is also only 1 market structure. Do you get the point? Pick a market structure here. Maximum they can. Market structure you should cover at least 3 market structures. Understood? Market structure 2 now. Excuse in the perfect competition. Perfect competition already come out with I will excuse that. And if you have 4 groups, 3 market structures should be represented. Only 1 group can select and repeat the market structure. Okay? But then on the presentation day, you cannot come and say, okay, you all selected monopolistic competition. Right. Now, what are the sources of oligopoly? Here, economies of scale, right? Few firms also barriers to entry. No one cannot easily come to the industry. So, if you are experiencing economies of scale, then you are experiencing low cost. Others cannot easily come. And large capital investment required. Telecommunication large investment required. Patented production process. Brand loyalty. Control over raw material or resources, limit pricing. Can you observe? Kind of similar as the monopoly. Monopoly power is then our few firms. We can categorize this oligopoly into 2 different parts. Cohesive oligopoly and non-cohesive oligopoly. Then what is mean by that? Cohesive oligopoly means oligopolists formally or informally agree to limit competition between themselves. Formally or informally. formally එකතු වෙලා organisation එකක් හදාගෙන agreement එකකට එනවා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. We are charging this price, all of us are following the same price, likewise. OS informally අරයන් කරන එක බලලා අන්න මාත් ඒක කරනවා, likewise informally also. Understood? Right. So they may set output quotas, fixed prices, limit product promotion or development, or agree not to poach each other's market. So they come to a informal or formal coordination. Thereby they decide, okay, you provide to this area, I'm going to provide to this area. Okay? Or else we all are going to charge this price. Or this is your quota. You cannot provide its amount exceeding this quota. Product quantity to whether or you will feel percent. Right? Examples are cartel arrangement and price leadership model. Price leadership model, what happened? There is one leader. Then telecommunication here. Among all these telecommunication providers, there is one leader. Let's say it's Mobitel, they set the price. All others follow it. Okay? That does not happen in Sri Lanka in telecommunication, but can be happened. Cartel arrangement means you're making a cartel. Cartel එකක් හදාගෙන එකම price එක ගන්න. Understood? For example, this OPEC අර දෙනනේ. Particularly spoilers providers, OPEC countries, everybody will cartel එකක් හදාගෙන they take the decisions together. Non-coercive oligopoly means in non-coercive oligopoly, oligopolies have no formal or informal agreement between themselves. Lanka telecommunication like that. They do not have formal or informal agreement. They look at each other, they are rivals, they react to each other. Interdepend maybe none. They take it out of react. Understood? So there are two types of oligopoly, policy oligopoly and non-policy oligopoly. So these are the examples. Policy oligopoly, cartel arrangement, and price leadership. Non-policy oligopoly, we have one type, which is king demand model. We'll discuss that and the Kuno. Okay. Depending on the time, I will decide and let you know how much models we are going to cover under each of those. But I'm completing this lecture today because now you know what is oligopoly. Then you can, when you're selecting firm, you have an idea about all the market structures. Okay, next day also we will kind of continue the oligopoly, then we'll move to the last few topics. So we are going to talk about this one first. Non-policy first time king demand curve. Let's discuss what happened. Okay. It's something like this. They face the demand curve. One part is elastic, the other part is inelastic. So they have a kink here. It's not a straight line. Understood? So this kink happened. Let's take telecommunication. Now let's say we have only 2 kg places at Mobitel and Dialog. Now what happened? If Mobitel wants to increase the price, the Mobitel price is increase. Okay? Expecting to increase their revenue. Price and medical revenue. But this price hike does not follow by the price. Dialog price that's his strategy. Okay? Then what happens? When you are at a higher price, you have a very elastic demand. If an oligopolist raise this price, it would lose its customers because other firms in the industry would not follow by raising their prices. So demand will be lost. So consumers, what they do? They will shift to the. So you have very elastic demand at higher price. Or price elastic demand and understood? Very elastic demand at higher price because rivals do not follow price hike. Understood? Then, if you reduce the price, an oligopolist cannot increase its market share by lowering its price because its competitors would quickly match price cuts, so demand will be increased. Interesting, right? If you reduce the price, what happens? All others fall. Now, one firm, one oligopoly, one firm, either they can increase the price or decrease the price in order to increase the revenue. If they increase the price, they can increase the revenue. If they decrease the price, they can increase their demand and thereby again increase the revenue. Understood? Right. If they increase the price, what happens? No one else follow the price hike. So you have elastic demand. If you reduce the price, what happens? Now competitor reduce the price. All others follow. Dialogue will follow. එතකොට මොකද? Dialogue ඉන්න කටි මොකද වලට යනවා price එක අඩු කරනවා කියලා නෝ. Dialogue also follows price not all difference. So what happens? At lower prices, your demand is inelastic. Right? So if you are following a non-cohesive oligopoly, and coordination එකක් නැහැ, formal one, informal one. So you belong to this king demand. Or else, there's another type, Puran model, that we will discuss later. One type is this, right? You are facing a king demand. Understood? Okay. So the explanation is here. Yes. Because of this here, under king demand curve, we say price rigidity is there. What is the rigidity? What's the meaning of rigidity? Rigid can flexible no? Struck. Struck no? Rigid can kind of struck. Because of this king demand curve, the prices in the oligopoly kind of struck at the same level. Now let's check how that happens. Now we understood here. Since we have a king demand curve, if we draw the marginal revenue, there is a gap in the marginal revenue. Marginal revenue can parallel account. So here, up to here, this low. Up to here, this low. When the main particle, it's a gap in between. Understood? Now, MR will have a discontinuity. MR is a discontinuity since we have a king demand. Equilibrium occurs at the point where MR equal MC and MC is increasing. That's the condition of MR equal MC should happen and MC should be increasing. So MC should be higher. Oligopolists will not change price when marginal cost changes. That implies price rigidity. Here. Now let's say your marginal cost is here. And now let's say your marginal cost changes. May region එකේ කොච්චර වෙනස් වුණා එකම price එකට යනවා. King එකේ තමයි price එක තියෙන්නේ. Understood? So the price is rigid. Did you get the point? So what you have to know is oligopoly, there are two types, polysive and non-polysive. Under non-polysive, one type is the king demand. In king demand model, what happens? Price high, others does not follow. Price cut, all follows. Then you have elastic plus inelastic part. Because of that, your marginal revenue is discontinued. Therefore, if your margin, even if your marginal cost changes in between this region, මේ region එකේ හෙට මෙහෙට ගියා කියලා MR equal MC වෙනස් වෙනවද? එකම quantity එක තමයි එන්නේ. And go to the same price. King එකේ තියෙන price. So you have price rigidity. So you are not formally arranging an agreement between the words, but informally what happened? You are having same price as before. Okay? Price rigidity happens because of this king demand curve. Understood? Yes or no? Right. So that's all for today. Now can you please confirm all the group formation, okay? And you give me the group formation sheets today. With numbers. You know, name and numbers still a group sheet or are you going to submit it next day? So for sure, next day I have to get the sheets. Huh? And also, Thereby, when you come next week, you have to make sure you have decided the verb also. Then you have to give me the group, the list of the participants and the selected verb. Right? Okay. And you forget the very good example in oligopoly. Oligopoly example, you are not giving.
If you want to see one question,
What is it? Okay. Insurance company, good example. What else? What else? What else? Okay. One is industry. How about banks? Commercial banks? Do you know? Here the commercial banks. Hata? There are 15 now. But still very interdependent now. If we take the mainstream banks, so you may argue banks also falls to oligopoly. Then you have to check whether they are policy or non-policy. If you take private banks, so rather than private banks, then maximum should be 13. Okay. So when you are taking firms, you can take banks also. Understood? So make sure now, since you do not have enough time to go practice and all take information, the easiest way to do this assignment is select a firm where annual reports have been published. Whether production theorem, cost theorem, pricing decisions theorem. Understood? That is the easiest way to do this assignment. Okay, I'm not making your life here difficult. Now I'm giving you all the tips. Okay, so we will continue the discussion on oligopoly next day also. Then we will finish the market structures. Then I will let you know what else to discuss. Probably all the teaching part I will cover by next week. Then the last day we will take presentation and final. Okay. And I will give you some tips how to be prepared for the exam. And also, unfortunately, I do not have any past papers and I do not recommend you to refer the past papers also because this is the very first time that I'm doing this course. So the structure will be different than the past papers. So I will check everything that I taught in the class and do it with the slides. I test I will give you the structure also. And I will give you some tips how to prepare for the exam. Then you can come, okay, for the exam. So tomorrow, so next week, we are going to have the class. Following week, we are going to have the presentation and finish the lecture. All right.
ఏమంటే ఉండానే
अरे कब बोलने आप बेटा अति आप भी करें
आरे सोट्टे कवितरनी
एक
एक
रोड करंट 10 होता
खूब किया तीनों बोल
हाँ तो मैंने खाने को पीता बस बेटा दो हाँ तो सब ठीक है तो बोल
बहुत ऐसे
얘기해.
ऐसे
이거 가라.
अडुगर
이거 되게 나중에. 할래 이제.
아